We're back on Politics Nation with breaking news on George Zimmerman. As he awaits trial for the killing of Trayvon Martin 3 months ago, there's already been a lot of back and forth in this case. Typical of any ongoing legal proceeding. New documents are released, witness testimonies introduced, but nothing has come close to the level of a major development until now. George Zimmerman is going back to jail. A judge demanding he return in the next 48 hours. The judge revoking Zimmerman's bond today for misleading the court about how much money he had when his bond was set at $150,000 back in April.
He can't sit back and obtain the benefit of a lower bond or circumstances based upon those material falsehoods. That's what they were. So at this time, revoke his bond, place him in no bond status.
A big development in this case. Joining me now is Zachary Carter, former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. He's now a partner with the law firm of Dorsey & Whitney. And from Florida, Ken Padowitz, a former homicide prosecutor. Thanks to both of you for being here tonight. Let me start with you, Zachary. That judge did not seem happy at all. What does this mean?
What it means is that this is going to be an occasion for the judge to reevaluate Mr. Zimmerman as a flight risk. Because the statements or the misstatements that the judge believes that the Zimmerman family may have made in terms of describing the level of their resources, he apparently has lost confidence, at least at this stage, pending further inquiry in whether or not Zimmerman can be relied upon to return to court, which is the purpose of setting bail in the first place.
Now, did he lie? I mean, what happened?
It appears that during the course of a hearing, either he and or his wife may have misrepresented or misstated the level of resources they had. They apparently insisted that they had no resources at all, and apparently, even according to his attorney admissions, they had already raised about some $135,000 at that time. The sum is subsequently increased to some $200,000 in a defense fund that was available to them, but was not disclosed to the court.
Now, Ken, at the time, you and I talked about it. I said that it should be reviewed. The family said it. But there's been no rallies, no pressure. The judge is dealing with this on the evidence, which is fair. I think that's the only way that you deal with this. Isn't it a factor that this supposedly was under the direct control of his own PayPal account, Zimmerman, so he would have had to know or have some control of the funds?
Absolutely. I mean, George Zimmerman is having a really bad day today. I mean, he didn't just jump the shark. He just had the shark rip off one of his limbs. I mean, where a case where credibility is everything, here you have a man that the judge on the case has said, hey, wait a minute, I got a problem with this man's credibility. He may have lied to me. I'm revoking his bond, and he's coming to court to explain himself. That is a big problem for Mr. Zimmerman, not only on his bond, but for the rest of the case, because his credibility is everything in the stand your ground law hearing and everything in the trial.
Now, meaning that if he's found to be less than credible, if he fact and misled the court, he's his own major witness and stand your ground, this could have a major impact on the rest of the case.
Absolutely. That's why I said the shark has just ripped off one of his limbs, but he did it to himself. This is a self-inflicted injury. If he actually lied to the court and testified under oath that he didn't know about any money when in fact he did, when in fact he knew he had certain monies available, yeah, he's got a big problem on his hands. The judge may find he's a flight risk, that he can't trust the word of George Zimmerman that he's going to show up for court. So this is a major problem for the defense, and they're going to have to figure out how they're going to get themselves out of this if they can. It sounds to me that he's got a big problem to deal with.
Zach, how does this play out going down the road? Can they appeal this? Will there be another hearing? Will Zimmerman have to address this judge, and can he explain himself in this?
Well, I think likely this is going to result in a bail sufficiency hearing. under the laws of most jurisdictions, the court has a right to examine the sources of bail and all the circumstances of bail in order to determine whether or not the court can be confident that the defendant will return to court to meet all of his or her obligations. But one thing that's important to point out is that the judge has a tremendous a range of options in terms of increasing his confidence that Zimmerman will comply with his obligations to return to court. And holding him is only one of those options. It could be he could insist on electronic monitoring through.
Well, he already has that, doesn't he?
As I understand it, correct. He can increase the terms of his supervision in terms of the frequency of reporting. He could increase the amount of bail, because one of the theories on which bail is set is that it provides a stake that will give most defendants pause in terms of whether or not they will return to court or not. When the defendant thought that the Zimmerman was destitute, he thought that the amount of bail set was sufficient to provide that kind of incentive. But now that he knows that he has more means, he may decide
But let's get to the trial. You were a prosecutor.
Right.
Does this undermine his credibility at trial? Does this give a real question of how credible the information he would give may be?
I don't, to be blunt, I don't believe that this will be an issue at the trial. He may have other issues that will impact on his credibility, just in terms of the circumstances of what happened on the night of the incident, with respect to what he said in the 911 tapes, subsequent admissions that may or may not have been consistent that he gave to various investigators on the evening of the event. Or
right. No, I understand that, but what I'm going at, Ken, is does this not give him, if in fact he misled the court, a credibility problem with the public, and going into trial where he can be questioned now is one that may not tell the entire truth?
Absolutely. He has given a brand new tool to the prosecutors for their toolbox, and they are thrilled. They're having a party right now, because this will absolutely be crucial during a trial or during cross-examination of Mr. Zimmerman. They can question his ability to tell the truth and to follow through on what he's saying, whether or not he's credible. It absolutely helps them. It's a credibility issue in this trial, and it's going to hurt Mr. Zimmerman. How much it's going to hurt, we're all going to have to sit back and look and wait to see
how does it hurt, Ken? In what way do you feel it hurts?
Well, if Mr. Zimmerman is maintaining that he is, in fact, was not stalking and following Trayvon Martin, that he was the one who is trying to go back to his car, well, his credibility is crucial. If a jury is going to believe him, they're going to have to believe that he is credible. And if, in fact, it is shown that he's testifying under oath that he has no money, when, in fact, him and his wife are both conspiring, if it's shown that there is, in fact, $120,000 in his account, and he's lying about that, well, if he's lying about that, what else is he lying about? Yeah. That's the argument the prosecutor's going to make, and that's where it severely undercuts Mr. Zimmerman's credibility.
Well, having presided at trials myself as a judge, and knowing both the state and federal law with respect to impeachment evidence, the court is going to weigh whether the probative effect of admitting testimony about this inconsistent or false statement
come up at trial,
it outweighs the prejudicial effect. And it's hard for me to imagine a situation in which a false statement about his capacity to make bail is going to be introduced at the trial on the merits.
Well, we'll see, but it's certainly a big development. And I will say this, Ken, the prosecutors may be partying, but I don't think the parents of Trayvon Martin are partying, because they still lost a son. And let's not act like any of this is going to come out with winners. Zachary Carter and Ken Padowitz, thank you for your time tonight.